Each of us leaves a legacy. You might think about what it is you're leaving behind. This morning we're going to be talking about Lois's legacy, and I'm going to ask Pauline, who's Lois?
I've been called Lois so much. Lois was my older sister, and she had health issues that made her have to choose to make a move. I wonder if I would do that at the age I am now, make a move from Portland to Sequim to get better care that she couldn't get when she was further away from me. Through her care, we learned about things like caregivers, you need more than one, paratransit, ordering supplies, ordering medications, having a ramp built, the whole 9 yards. And through those things, those are the same things that we now can offer as answers and options for our callers. And what humbled us the most was what now is called asset management, but it was spend down in those days, and we had to apply for Medicaid. So we have that experience too. So that was Lois, and it was more her grit and determination. Grit. And her sense of humor.
Her grit and her sense of humor.
Yes.
Did you hear Pauline say, and those are services we offer through Lois's legacy? Every Monday morning, I see Marilyn across the hall ready for action. Tell me about the volunteers and helpers who become a part of this ministry, including you.
I'd be happy to. I'd like to start with my story. I live in Diamond Point, and some of our neighbors see my husband and I walk our dog frequently throughout the neighborhood. Wallace took notice, and he must have thought to himself, that woman has a lot of time on her hands. He introduced me to Pauline, and the rest is history. I've been volunteering since last August. What Wallace didn't know is that I was a caregiver for my own mother for 6 years after she'd had a stroke, and I was the one in chaos and crisis on the phone looking for resources that could help her live her life out with dignity and grace, just like Lois did. Let me tell you about our other volunteers, and we have many. There are 5 of us volunteering in the office, including Pauline, and we have Joyce Langenbacher and Nancy Bear as well. We have 2 volunteers that help with offering services in people's homes. We have 10 private, skilled in-home caregivers. We have a veteran specialist. We have a transportation specialist, Wallace Teal himself, who gives generously of his time, efforts, and resources and offers his 2 cents on occasion. We have our webmaster, Lawrence Charters, his wife, your parish nurse, Kathleen Charters, that offers her assistance to us, as well as your secretary and office manager, Marion Needham. There are many people who are involved in this effort. If you have a couple hours to spare, be sure and let us know. Meanwhile, beware. If Wallace happens to notice you have some spare time on your hands, you might be the next recruit.
Thank you, Marilyn. I haven't taken a scientific study, but I think sometimes that the Lois Legacy phone rings a lot more than the church phone. I mean, it seems to ring all the time. So, Pauline, can you give me a few examples of what kind of phone calls come in?
Well, it's a little like Pawn Stars. You never know what's coming in. So one of the calls came quite typically. It was for transportation, but not your typical. It was a caregiver calling for his client who needed emergency transportation. She was being discharged from Seattle to Sequim. However, she needed dialysis at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the same day she arrived in Sequim. None had been arranged for several days. Dialysis doesn't wait. We got the call. We said, what can we do? We picked up the phone and called Sun Taxi and paid for the $100 round trip trip to get that person delivered safely, come back. Most of our calls are just your normal kind of to clinic trips and that sort of thing, locally as well as to Silverdale and sometimes to hospitals, in Seattle. However, one famous ride I call the Wallace Teal ride, the midnight ride of Wallace Teal, because he ended up meeting somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning or before to get to a Seattle hospital by 6:30. There are challenges, and we meet them as best we can. So there's a number of things we do, so we invite you to learn more.
Thank you, Pauline. I believe with all my heart that this is a vital ministry, a vital part of the pastoral care of this congregation. Do you agree? And what does this mean?
You may need to help me on this, Marilyn. The best way to learn about what we have to offer, I feel, is to come and let us know what your emergency contingency plan is. And Marilyn, I'd like to, as an example, ask you if tomorrow, would you pencil me in for an appointment to review the emergency plan that I developed 3 years ago? And I think it needs a bit of updating, and I know it does, but I haven't done it yet. What do you say?
We're there and available. Come in anytime, 10 o'clock to 2. We'll be there for you.
And always, some people wonder if we just sit there and wait for the telephone to call. We're using the phone to get information for you, and many of our calls require a lot of follow-up for just one person. So come have a cup of coffee, come to know us better.
Thank you so much. Thank you.